When you look at the history of colonization, there are 5 countries that stick out the most. These being the countries of Spain, Portugal, France, Britain, and the Netherlands. However, a lesser known but equally important power was that of Sweden. While today there are no nations outside of Europe that can trace their lineage back to Sweden, there was a time in which Sweden did have a colonial empire. In this video, we will take a look at all the small colonies from around the world that Sweden once had control of. However, I will preface this video by saying I will only be talking about the colonies in the area that Sweden had control of outside of Europe. That being said, I do want to eventually make a video discussing the complete Swedish Empire, especially in the European theater, because the Swedish Empire had a major impact on the history of Europe throughout the 1600s and 1700s and helped to lay the groundwork for how Europe appears today. So without further ado, let's hop in right into this video and discuss all about Sweden and its colonies. The first colony we will take a look at will be the Swedish Gold Coast. The colony was founded in 1650 and lasted until the year 1663. The Swedes had built several forts and factories, pretty much big warehouses and depots filled with goods, all along the Gulf of Guinea, which is now the present-day coast of Ghana. The small colony helped ship slaves over to the New World. However, it should be mentioned that the number of slaves that were shipped were extremely small in number and didn't really have an effect on the economic state of the colony. As previously mentioned, the colony came to an end in 1663 when the Danish took control and it became part of the Danish Gold Coast. This was the only colony that the Swedes had created in Africa and would be the only colony the Swedes would ever create in Africa, period. The rest of the remaining colonies that we will be discussing from this point on will be in the New World, specifically in the North American Caribbean region. The Swedes would never again try to colonize Africa or push into Asia, and additionally, because Spain and Portugal had pretty much colonized all of South America by this point, would never start a colony in South America. However, this didn't stop them from colonizing other places of the New World. The first attempt to colonize the Caribbean was that in the island of Tobago in 1733. However, when the Swedes landed and tried to establish their colony, they were run off by the natives, and eventually Tobago would be claimed and settled by the British and would become a British colony. The next colony that was set up by the Swedes was actually their longest lasting colony. It was pretty successful overall. They set up a colony on the island of Saint-Barthelemy in 1784 and would keep hold of it until 1878 when they sold it to the French. Like the other Caribbean islands, the island had a massive sugar-based economy. It was very profitable for their Swedish overlords. Even today, after being taken over by the French, the capital city of the island still retains its old name, Gustavia, after King Gustav, who established the colony. The last Caribbean colony was that of Guadeloupe, which only lasted from 1813 to 1814. It was a product of the Napoleonic Wars. The only important thing that came out of this was the Guadeloupe Fund, in which the Swedes were guaranteed 24 million francs to compensate for losing their colony, and France only recently has paid it all back to them. Finally, last but not least, is the former Swedish colony of New Sweden that was on the North American continent. The colony of New Sweden was founded in 1638 on the mouth of the Delaware River. The colony itself would have land in what would become the states of Delaware, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. While the colony thrived for a small amount of time, later incursions by the Dutch in their New Amsterdam colony, along with a couple scuffles with the forts up the Delaware River, caused the colony to be taken over by the Dutch a couple years later. And as we all know, as soon as the Dutch took that over, the British came knocking on their doors and took over New York. Today, there is nothing left of the New Sweden colony except for small traces of Swedish ancestry in this area from the very small and minute amount of people that settled in that area during that time. I want to say a big thank you to everybody who stayed and watched this video. It means a lot to me that you put some of your time in and would take a look at some of the work that I've done. I know I haven't uploaded in a long time, but that's because I've been extremely busy with school and working on some big projects that I hope to be coming up with this summer. If this all works out, it's going to be an awesome time this summer with a lot of new content coming out. And I'm really excited to hopefully be able to announce that to everybody watching. If you really did enjoy this video, please hit that like button. And if you are new to this channel, subscribe. And comment down below what new kinds of videos y'all would like to see in the future. I have some more ideas on the way, along with the continuation of 2 series that I've started. But I would love more audience feedback on what you guys would like to know and some of the lesser known parts of history you guys would want me to cover. I really love doing this channel and finding all the crazy and lesser known parts of history that nobody's really talked about. And I want to thank you guys so much for being on that journey with me.